Hello, welcome to this Top Cruise Plan space. Today we're starting something new, a series where we're going to chat about one of our latest adventures, a fantastic cruise through Japan. But, get this, we set sail from South Korea.
That's right. We want to share the experience as if you were with us, step by step. We're going to base it on the articles we already have on our website at topcruiseplan.com, of course.
That's the idea, isn't it? Like an audio guide, a travel chat?
Exactly. And the floating protagonist of this story was the Norwegian Spirit, a ship that took us to some very interesting places in Asia.
Yes, it was amazing. And that's the plan for this series, to be a useful but also entertaining guide. We're going to dive into the ports, the cities, give practical tips and ideas to make the most of your time.
Which sometimes flies by during port calls.
Exactly. And we'll talk about transportation, metro, taxis, even the Japanese bullet train. And, well, also what to do before or after the cruise, which is a great help.
Before we start with the day-to-day, maybe it's a good idea to give a quick overview of the complete itinerary, right?
Go for it.
Well, we started in Seoul to board in Incheon, which is right next door. First stop, Jeju Island in South Korea, and then in Japan, Nagasaki, Kagoshima, Miyajima, which is near Hiroshima.
Miyajima is gorgeous.
Yes. Then Kochi, Kyoto, and Osaka, which we did as a combo. A quick stop in Nagoya, Shimizu to try and see Mount Fuji.
It was a bit shy, huh?
You bet. And the trip ended in Tokyo. A pretty complete tour, really.
Well, if all this sounds good, if you're interested in this type of content, now is a perfect time to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. That way, you won't miss anything from the series.
All right, let's get to it. This first chapter is the beginning. Seoul and boarding in Incheon, kilometer 0.
Let's get started. Okay, tip number 1 for these cruises with long flights. Arrive with time to spare.
Always.
It's essential. We'd recommend arriving at least at the very minimum 1 day before the ship sails, mostly because of jet lag, to recover a bit. And while you're at it, you can see some of the city without a rush.
Of course. That gives you time to rest and explore Seoul a little bit before the madness of embarkation.
Totally. And this is where logistics are important. The Incheon cruise terminal isn't right next to Seoul, you know? It's about 40 kilometers away. So our strategy was first night in a hotel in the center of Seoul in Myeongdong, which is a very lively area with shops and restaurants.
Yes, a great atmosphere. We stayed at the Voco Seoul IHD Hotel. We arrived when it was already almost dark, so it was just check in, drop the bags, and head out to the street. A first walk to get our bearings. The nearby streets, the City Hall Plaza, we saw the Gyeongbokgung Palace lit up from the outside. That first impression of Seoul, it was interesting. I mean, it's a super modern city, giant screens, skyscrapers, traffic. But that night, which was a Tuesday, we were surprised that the streets we walked through were pretty quiet.
There wasn't the crowd you might expect.
Yeah, right?
And the temperature was ideal, about 25 degrees Celsius, perfect for a walk.
And we sure did walk. In fact, we took a long detour to get back to the hotel, thanks to Google Maps.
Ah, yes. It turns out that in South Korea, the Google Maps feature for calculating walking routes doesn't work. It just doesn't function. And we didn't know that.
So we had to navigate the old-fashioned way, looking at the little blue dot on the phone's map and saying, well, it must be this way.
It was a bit disconcerting at first, but it had its charm, you know, because it forces you to pay more attention to everything. The street names, the buildings, and we ended up passing by places a normal route wouldn't take you to.
We saw the Sunyaman Gate, which is incredible, a giant ancient gate.
Yes, and we went through some alleys looking for shortcuts that, well...
Look, it wasn't efficient, but it was interesting for a while. A mini adventure.
Totally. And what else caught your attention that night besides getting gracefully lost?
I remember we found it funny seeing Netflix products, even stuff from Squid Game.
True. And it was in those stores that we really put the Google Translate camera feature to the test.
Ah, essential. Pointing your phone at a package of cookies or a sign in Korean and having it translate for you on the screen, it works surprisingly well.
Then the day of embarkation arrives. Embarkation was at noon at 12:30. We had the morning free because our boarding time was in the afternoon, so we decided to dedicate it to an important cultural visit, the Gyeongbokgung Palace.
It's quite central. We took a taxi from the hotel and were there in no time.
The Gyeongbokgung is the largest of the 5 grand palaces, built by the Jeonseon dynasty. It dates back to the 14th century, although it has been rebuilt several times. The visit is highly recommended.
Yes, we rented audio guides, which always help in understanding what you're seeing. And with a little map, we walked through the courtyards, the buildings. You could easily spend hours there.
But the coolest thing, apart from the architecture and history, is the atmosphere.
Totally. The place is huge, super photogenic, but what really catches your eye is the number of people, Koreans and tourists, who are dressed in the traditional costume, the hanbok.
That's right. Beautiful outfits, super colorful, elegant, and it wasn't just a few people either. You'd see entire families, groups of friends, couples, all in their hanboks, even professional photo shoots.
It brings an incredible life to the place. You feel that the tradition is there, alive. It's not just a museum. It's a very powerful image of Seoul, truly.
That detail is great because you see how they live their heritage.
Yes, and well, speaking of connecting, if you're enjoying this chat about Seoul and these details seem useful for planning trips, well, this is another good moment to remind you. Subscribe, activate notifications, and that way you won't miss the next stops on this cruise.
All right, so after the palace, which took up a good part of the morning, it was time to switch gears. Time to think about the ship.
That's right. Taxi back to the hotel, pick up the luggage we had left in storage, and another taxi, this time straight to the Incheon cruise terminal. The embarkation itself was quite smooth, honestly. It's worth noting that Norwegian, like other cruise lines, gives you an hour window to arrive at the terminal when you check in online.
Yes, that's very well thought out.
Of course, because that way not everyone arrives at once. People are spread out and everything moves faster. It's a good system. Then the usual. When you get on the ship, the cabins are almost never ready right away. They need time to clean after the previous passengers leave. The normal thing to do is go grab a bite at the buffet or some other place that's already open.
But we got lucky that day.
Yes, we have barely started nibbling on something at the buffet when, bam, an announcement over the loudspeaker. Cabins are ready.
It was faster than usual.
So it was great. We could go up, drop our things, and have that first moment of, wow, this is our cabin for almost 2 weeks. It's a great feeling.
We rested for a bit and then got ready for the sail away, the ship's departure, which is normally a party on deck with music.
But it rained. Just as we were about to set sail, it started raining in Incheon.
Yep, so the deck party was canceled.
But hey, since we had a balcony cabin, we watched everything from there undercover, and it was spectacular anyway.
Yes, it really was. We passed under a huge suspension bridge and then through a bunch of small islands along the coast. Very beautiful. A really cool farewell to mainland Korea, honestly.
And as we were sailing towards Jeju, our first stop, we dedicated the afternoon to exploring the Norwegian Spirit a bit from the inside.
Getting our bearings, yeah, where the restaurants are, the bars, the theater, just getting a general overview.
Before dinner, we went to the theater for the Welcome Aboard show. It's usually short. They introduce the cruise director, the entertainers, and tell you a bit about what's to come.
And for dinner, we had a little surprise on the first day.
Yes, the main dining room, the one that's included and doesn't require reservations, closed at 8:30 p.m., which seemed a bit early to us, being used to more Spanish schedules, let's say.
Yeah, a bit tight. We arrived right as they were closing.
So we had to find another place. We went to another included restaurant that closed a little later at 9 p.m. It worked out, but hey, it was a reminder that you have to check the hours for every venue on board.
Exactly. And let's be clear, even if one restaurant closes, on these ships there are always included food options available almost 24 hours a day. The buffet, some pub with snacks, you won't go hungry.
Definitely not. And with that first dinner, now on our way, we'll consider this first chapter, this review of arriving in Seoul and boarding, complete.
An intense but very interesting start.
Yes, and what's to come is promising. In the next chapter, we arrive at Jeju, the largest island in South Korea. Volcanic, natural landscapes, a very popular vacation destination for Koreans. We're going to see what we did there.
That's right. So we'll see you in the next installment to discover Jeju together. And for the last time today, if you liked this first part, if the information seems useful for planning trips, well, this is another good moment to remind you. Subscribe, activate notifications, and that way you won't miss the next chapters.
And remember also that for more details, port guides, tips, news about cruises, all the information for planning is on the website, topcruiseplan.com. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this first leg of the journey. We'll hear from you at the next stop.